This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. It's Tuesday, which means I'm going to sit and blether away for 10 minutes or so on the topic of 5 of my favourite things in a particular category. And today, we're talking about ELO, the Electric Light Orchestra, one of my favourite bands of all time, if I'm honest. And I think that's because you can't really categorise them. You know, were they a rock band? Well, some people might describe them as a rock band, and there was certainly kind of rocky kind of guitar stuff in their songs, you know, riffing and guitar solos and that kind of thing. And, you know, they released, you know, albums that you could describe as concept albums, but they weren't a rock band in the same sense as Deep Purple or, you know, Led Zeppelin, were they? Were they a pop group? Well, you know, there was a lot of poppy kind of catchy hooks and stuff going on in their songs, and they were regularly, you know, on top of the pops and what have you, but you wouldn't describe them as a pop group in the same sense as ABBA or Smokey or Mud or any of the other regular inhabitants of the 70s top 40 kind of thing. Were they a prog band? Well, again, you wouldn't describe them as being, you know, a progressive rock band in the same sense as like Pink Floyd or Camel or Yes. But, you know, that whole idea of melding, you know, orchestral instruments into a rock band context, that's straight out of the prog playbook. For me, what they did was they took the best elements of all of these different genres and others and melded them into, you know, their own unique style, which is why I love them. So, let's get cracking with my first choice, which is
Mr. Blue Sky.
Yeah, let's get the obvious one out of the way first. I mean, it is, let's face it, the ultimate feel-good song. And it does that thing that I often talk about in, you know, music that I like, which is that, you know, it's complex and complicated, but you don't notice that until you have to try and pick it apart and learn the song. You know, complexity by stealth, if you like. As I've said many times, anybody can write complex music that sounds complex. The real art is to write something that just sounds good, and you're using all of the complexity and, you know, kind of tempo shifts and, you know, kind of advanced modulations and stuff just as a way of serving the song that you don't kind of notice it. And, you know, that ending, you know, where you get to the end of the song and suddenly it's not the end of the song, it just comes back in a different key, at a different tempo, and just goes off on a tangent for a minute or so, and then the song ends. I mean, who else would do that? It's a fantastic, you know, just, I love the song in 10-foot tall letters, which is why it's on this list. Next.
Hold On Tight.
Yes, now, ELO were always fond of doing the odd little 50s rock and roll pastiche, right from the early days when they did that version of Roll Over Beethoven, which, if I'm honest, I don't think it really quite gels together, their version of that song. I think there was still a band kind of trying to find their way and figure out what worked and what didn't work. But, you know, they always had that 50s rock and roll kind of thing bubbling away amongst all of the other, you know, kind of stylistic genres that I mentioned earlier. I almost, it was a toss-up between Hold On Tight for this list and Rock and Roll Is King, but I just prefer Hold On Tight. You know, that monstrous opening note on the guitar, never before, I think, has one single note at the beginning of a track just made your ears kind of pin back and go, what is this? You know, and you've got just the whole package, really. It's just good, well-written, foot-tapping, catchy pop. You know, there's nothing wrong with pop music. You know, we can all be a bit, I suppose, snobbish about it, you know, at times. Oh, that's just teeny bopper kind of stuff. You know, but pop music can be, you know, well-written and well-crafted and well put together and fantastically produced, as is this track. It's a fantastic tune. I love it, and that's why it's on the list. Next.
Living Thing.
Yes, indeed. I mean, I think this one is up there with Mr. Blue Sky, you know, in terms of what the band were like when they were at the peak of their powers, say in the kind of mid to late 70s into the early 80s, that sort of when they were cresting that wave, if you like. In some ways, this is a template for Mr. Blue Sky. I'm just reading some notes here. What have I put down here? Superb production, complex modulations and harmony, but it never sounds like it's being clever for clever's sake. You know, I was talking about earlier. I mean, the opening chords that are on this track, I think it goes from a C major to a B flat minor. Who on earth thinks of putting those two chords together? You know, but Jeff Lynne did, because that's what he was hearing in his head. You know, this is the mark, I think, of someone who, you know, just can hear what they want in their head. They can hear the melody, they can hear the harmony, and that's what's there. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of, you know, as I say, complicated modulations and key changes going on in this song that you just don't notice, because it's just such a powerful melody and such just a great feel-good song. So there you go. There's another one for you, Living Thing. I absolutely love it, like all of these tracks, and that's why it made the list. Next.
All Over the World.
Yeah, now this is a fantastic song from an utterly forgettable film, Xanadu. Now I almost chose the title song from this film, you know, the one with Olivia Newton-John on vocals, because her vocal performance on that is just out of this world. That big high note at the end, dear me. And this was in the days, I think this was 1980 or so, when, you know, auto-tune, what's that? If you can't sing the note, then, you know, it's not going to end up on the record. And she just absolutely nails it. Fantastic performance. But I wanted to keep this just, you know, a purely ELO kind of driven thing. So, sorry, Olivia, but, you know, I'm going to go with this song instead. As much as anything here, I think one of the standout things about this track is the production, namely the drum sound. Bev Bevan's drumming on ELO, all these classic ELO tracks for me is just, it's the missing element. You know, I mean, Jeff's put like a new version of ELO together, you know, in recent years. We've done a couple of 3 albums. I think there's 2 studio albums and a live album, and they're really good. I enjoy both of them. But you do miss Bev's drumming on them, I think, and it's most certainly in evidence here. And the chord changes and everything in this song, again, you can tell that Jeff is a big fan of Roy Orbison, because I think there's more than a little bit of Roy Orbison's influence in the way Jeff sings, especially on this song. But the chord changes are straight out of, songs like Crying and stuff like that. That cheeky little augmented chord that gets thrown in from time to time. Fantastic bit of songwriting, great song. As I say, a bit of a forgettable film, but we won't talk about that. It's just a great ELO song, and that's why it's on the list. Next.
Showdown.
Yes, indeed. Going back to the early days, this song was, I think, from 1973, and it subsequently appeared on re-releases and reissues of the On the Third Day album. But I think it wasn't on the original album. I think it was just a single that was released from the same sessions as the recording of that album. And for me, this is where it all began to gel. I mentioned earlier on about, you know, the version of Roll Over Beethoven that, just personally for me, I don't think it works particularly well. It just seems like it's an odd hodgepodge of, you know, the rock band plus the string quartet kind of thing. And it never kind of all seems to line up on that. But here, on this song, this for me is where it all begins to kind of just coalesce and come together, and you think, yeah, he's found out what he wants to do now. I mean, let's not mince words. You know, ELO is very much Jeff's project, and you know, this is where you kind of get the sense with this song that he's kind of figuring out how to put all of these different elements together and get something that became the ELO sound. It provided essentially the recipe for, you know, what was to come later, you know, with albums like Discovery, Out of the Blue, New World Record, all of the classic kind of mid to late 70s ELO albums that I've been kind of talking about the tracks from up to now. So for me, this is where, this is, you know, the kind of starting point for where ELO became the ELO sound that we kind of think of. And to me, that's why this song absolutely had to be on the list. So there you go, folks. Those are my top 5 performances by the Electric Light Orchestra. Fantastic band for all the reasons I've been blethering on about for the past 10 minutes. If you have 5 of your favourite ELO performances, then please leave a comment below telling me what they are, and maybe a line or two about why each one of those deserves a place on your list. And I'd be genuinely interested to know what you think. And that is pretty much it for today, folks. I do hope you've enjoyed the video and found it reasonably entertaining. That is the reason, after all, I sit here and blether away like this, and if you have found it entertaining, then please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not give me a like while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream on Friday, 5 p.m. UK time. We talk about all manner of stuff, but it's usually, kind of music and guitar related, and, there's beer involved, and it's a great way to just kick off the weekend, and I would love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.